one of the protons turns into a neutron. Conservation of electric charge means we can't just destroy the positive charge of that proton. So what happens to the positive charge it had? It's emitted in a positron. That's a particle that's just like an electron, except it has a positive charge instead of negative. So the symbol for it is an E to say it's like an electron, but with a plus sign to show that it has a positive charge. It's the antimatter partner to the electron, an anti-electron, if you will. That positron goes flying off from the now a neutron, and pretty soon it hits one of the many free electrons that are bouncing around. The symbol for an electron is an E with a minus sign to indicate that it has a negative charge. Being antiparticles of each other, they annihilate, resulting in pure photon energy. Photons are indicated with the Greek letter gamma. Energy added to the plasma. A side point, there's another conservation law at play here called the conservation of lepton number. That's the count of lightweight particles like electrons and positrons. An electron has a lepton number of +1, while a positron, being antimatter, has a lepton number of -1. Photons have a lepton number of 0. So when an electron and a positron annihilate, we have a lepton number of +1 for the electron added to a lepton number of -1 for the positron. That's a total lepton number of 0. And sure enough, the photons created when they collide have lepton numbers of 0. So we're all good. Was 0, still 0. But what about when the positron was emitted from that one proton that turned into a neutron? Protons have a lepton number of 0. Neutrons have a lepton number of 0. Can't just turn 0 into -1. So the proton also emits another lepton particle with a lepton number of +1. I'll use the Greek letter nu to indicate this new particle. That way, the lepton number before emission is 0, and the total after emission is also 0. But what about the electric charge of this new particle? The positive electric charge that the proton had is now in the positron. So that means that the new particle can't have any charge at all. It's 0. It is a lightweight, electrically neutral particle called a neutrino. And in fact, that's why it's represented with the Greek letter nu, because it is electrically neutral. We have to include it in order for the lepton number math to work out. And it has to be neutral for the electric charge math to work out. And it turns out the neutrino also carries away some energy and momentum. This is measurable in the lab. So it's not like neutrinos are just imaginary particles made up to balance the books. They exist. And they hardly interact with other matter at all. So when they are emitted from the proton as it turns into a neutron, they just fly away, passing through all the outer layers of gas. Okay, so 2 protons collided, one of them turned into a neutron, a positron, and a neutrino. The neutrino flies off, leaving the scene. The positron tries to fly off, but soon hits an electron and is annihilated. And the proton and the new neutron stick together, so I'll group them in parentheses. This is called hydrogen 2. Hydrogen because of 1 proton, and 2 because it has 2 nucleons, the proton and the neutron. This is also called deuterium. Deut for 2. Okay, so that's the first step in the fusion process. But we're still not at helium yet. Our deuterium nucleus is now bouncing around amongst a bunch of protons. A proton collides with it, and they stick together. So now we have a particle with 2 protons and 1 neutron. This is a helium-3 nucleus. Helium because it has 2 protons. 3 because it has 3 nucleons. The next thing that happens in the chain is that 2 of these helium-3 nuclei whack into each other. That's a total of 4 protons and 2 neutrons. 2 of the protons get knocked loose and rejoin the sea of free protons. What's left behind has 2 protons and 2 neutrons. That's a regular helium nucleus, also known as helium-4, also called an alpha particle. So that is how hydrogen is turned into helium. 2 protons collide and one turns into a neutron, emitting a positron and neutrino, and resulting in deuterium. A proton runs into that, turning it into helium-3. 2 helium-3s collide, knocking loose 2 protons and leaving behind a helium-4. Each of these steps releases energy by way of Einstein's famous E equals mc squared. The mass of a helium-4 nucleus is less than the mass of 4 protons. Mass has been turned into energy. Okay, enough about how fusion works. So the center of our gas cloud is hot enough and high enough pressure that fusion is happening. The gas cloud has become a star. The energy released at the core works its way out through the cloud, blowing much of the outermost layers away. But the gravity is strong enough to keep a lot of the closer-in gas in the contracting cloud, in the new star. We now have a main sequence star, and it lives like this for a long time. There's a central core where hydrogen fusion is happening, surrounded by the star's atmosphere of hydrogen plasma that's not hot nor pressurized enough to do fusion. Gravitational pressure is holding things together, while fusion at the center tries to blow things apart. Things are in equilibrium. The rate of fusion depends on the pressure and temperature at the core. The more massive the star, the higher the pressure and temperature, the faster it burns. A burn is a common misnomer that everybody calls it. And that rate more than makes up for the higher amount of material in the bigger star. So more massive stars live shorter but brighter lives. Being denser than hydrogen nuclei, the helium nuclei tend to sink to the center of the star, into the core. Initially, the temperature and pressure at the core will not be extreme enough for helium to undergo fusion. So no energy is being generated at the innermost core. Outside of the core, however, the pressure remains high enough for hydrogen fusion, so that continues to burn. So we have a helium core, where no energy is being produced, surrounded by a shell of hydrogen where the density and temperature are such that fusion is happening. And outside of that, the star's atmosphere. The progression of fusion in the shell continues to produce helium, adding to the mass of the helium core. If the star is massive enough, then there will come a time when the helium core will undergo a bit of a collapse. It's got a lot of mass and no energy generation fighting the gravitational collapse. As it collapses, the pressure and temperature will rise to where helium can begin to fuse. What happens is that 2 helium nuclei fuse to form a beryllium-8 nucleus. 4 protons and 4 neutrons. That's a very unstable nucleus, and it would like to just break apart again. But collisions are happening so fast in this hot helium core that before it decays, there's a good enough chance that another helium nucleus can hit it, fusing to form carbon-12, 6 protons and 6 neutrons. Carbon-12 is very stable, and it's lighter than 3 helium nuclei, so we have more energy released. Then, in the mix of helium and carbon nuclei, we have helium fusing with carbon-12 to make oxygen-16. More energy released. So now we have a core where helium is fusing into carbon and oxygen. This is surrounded by the shell where hydrogen is fusing into helium, and still the star's atmosphere outside of that. But the increase in energy coming from the helium-burning core tends to expand the outer atmosphere of the star. The expanded atmosphere is actually cooler than it was before expanding, so its color is red. Our star has become a red giant star. When our sun reaches this stage, that red atmosphere will have expanded all the way out to the orbit of the Earth. So it's big. This process can continue and blow off the outer layers, forming a roughly spherical nebula. This is called a planetary nebula, though it has nothing to do with planets. It's just that the spherical shape makes it look kind of like a planet through a telescope. The Ring Nebula is probably the most famous example of this. Then, if the star is massive enough, the temperature and pressures get high enough that carbon can fuse with carbon and oxygen can fuse with oxygen, and these processes result in a mix of neon, sodium, and magnesium, and sulfur, and phosphorus, and silicon. And they often include the emission of neutrons and protons and even alpha particles, helium nuclei. The collisions of silicon nuclei gets a little more complicated, but ultimately it results in the creation of iron. As all of these elements are formed, the core tends to take on a layered structure, with the heaviest nuclei in the center, surrounded by shells of progressively lighter elements, where those other elements are undergoing fusion, out to a layer of fusing hydrogen, and finally the atmosphere. But once there is iron in the core, this evolution of the layering stops. Fusion is still happening in each shell, but elements heavier than iron actually require energy to be added to be formed. That means that any fusion that happens with iron would absorb energy, not release it. So now the innermost core is not producing energy to support the crushing pressure from the layers above. And there's no hope that it ever will. If things are massive enough, this leads to a gravitational collapse of the core. Now, there are three possible consequences depending on the mass. The first thing that can resist the collapse of the core is called soak the electrons in the mix, fill all the lower energy quantum states, and so it can't get any smaller. The result of this is a white dwarf star. It's a dwarf because it's small, about the size of the Earth, but with the mass of the Sun, and it's white because it is white hot. This stage is also the end state for stars of lower mass that never make it up to the iron-producing stage. So lots of stars end their lives as degenerate white dwarfs. If a star is massive enough, then the gravity can overcome the electron degeneracy, causing electrons and protons to merge into neutrons. This essentially is forming a single giant atomic nucleus of neutrons, a neutron star. It's giant by atomic standards, but still small compared to the white dwarf star. It's about 10 miles in diameter, with the mass of a star. So, that means there's nothing supporting more gravitational collapse outside of this core, and this results in a supernova explosion. I've heard a couple explanations for the cause of a supernova. One explanation says that the outer layers fall in toward the neutron star and then bounce off it and go flying into space. Another explanation I've heard is that the proton-electron reaction produces a huge flux of neutrinos in order to maintain the lepton number, and those neutrinos are the source of the energy, knocking the outer atmosphere into a huge explosion. Now, neutrinos are pretty good at passing right through matter, but they're not perfect at it. And the neutrino density is so high in this process that enough neutrinos interact with the outer layers to produce the explosion, sending the entire atmosphere out into space. Supernovas are so energetic that they can outshine an entire galaxy. What remains behind is a neutron star. That's also a pulsar, pulsing stars that were first discovered by the rapid pulsing of radio signals due to the star's magnetic field and rapid rotation. If the star is even more massive than that, then not even the resistance of all the neutrons can resist the gravitational collapse, and the result is a black hole. This has essentially zero size, and this process also comes with a supernova. So, the three possible results of the final collapse are white dwarf, supernova to a neutron star, or supernova to a black hole. Okay, that's the overview of stellar evolution, with lots of details left out. But hey, the title of this talk is Novas, not supernovas. So what's a nova? First, a related fact. About half the stars you see in the sky are actually binary pairs. They're very common. So imagine a tight binary pair. The stars are not very far apart by astronomical measures. And label the stars 1 and 2, where star 1 is more massive than star 2. So star 1 lives its life faster than star 2, and it enters the red giant stage first. As the stellar atmosphere expands, it gets close enough to star 2 for those outer layers to get gravitationally sucked down to star 2. Star 2 gains some mass. Star 1 leaves behind a white dwarf. That's an extremely hot, dense star made of degenerate matter. Eventually, star 2 enters the red giant stage. It expands and its atmosphere gets close enough to get sucked down onto the star 1 white dwarf. This matter is not degenerate. It's just the hydrogen gas from the upper atmosphere of star number 2. This process continues, and more hydrogen builds up on the surface of the white dwarf. Hot surface, strong gravity makes high pressure on the surface. At some point, there is enough hydrogen, and it's hot and pressurized enough that hydrogen fusion begins. That emits more heat, and you get a runaway chain reaction igniting all the hydrogen on the outside of the white dwarf. That's a huge explosion. That is a nova. And while it is a huge explosion, it's not as big as the explosion of a supernova. I mean, this is measly a thermonuclear bomb. Supernovas are gravity bombs. Once it goes off, the entire cycle can actually repeat years later. So, if someone asks, can our sun go nova? No, it can't. Not because it's not massive enough. That's why it can't go supernova. It can't go regular nova because it's not in a binary pair. There's no red giant dumping hydrogen onto the surface. So, why am I bothering to tell you about all this? Because, according to this BBC article, there is a star, T Coronae Borealis, about 3,000 light years away in the constellation Corona Borealis, adjacent to the Hercules constellation, that astronomers can tell is about to go nova. It goes off about every 80 years or so, and the last time was in 1946. And shortly before it goes off, it dims a little. And guess what? It's been dimming. So, real soon now, this star is expected to go off before September of this year. When it does, it will go from a magnitude of +10 to a magnitude of +2. That means it goes from invisible to the naked eye to being visible with the naked eye. So, if you keep an eye on Corona Borealis over the summer, you might just see a new star appear. That will be the nova. So, Coal Creek Canyon SkyWatchers, watch the sky!
Can't hear you.
All righty. So I'm not sure to what extent that was a little low level, certainly at the beginning for this group. But, you know, sometimes we have high school kids.
I needed it.
Okay.
That's why I wanted you to record it.
Yeah, the one thing we never seem to get right ever since shifting to Zoom meetings is remembering to hit record right at the beginning. So my guess is that all of our recordings begin with mid-sentence.
Well, Dewey, you can actually, when you set up the meeting in settings, you can have it to start recording automatically.
Oh,
That means you might get 10 or 15 minutes of BSing, but then you also get the whole meeting too.
Yeah, well, today that means I would have started at 5 o'clock. So,
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
we-
we started testing.
yeah, well, we tested things out, but yeah, that's good to know. I just need that little note. Barb always has it on her computer.
Yeah,
Start recording,
yeah,
and I forgot. So thanks, John. So now we got that recorded.
yeah. And Leonard said you sound like you have a Walt Disney voice.
It sounded good. It sounded like a Walt Disney thing. And you did it all in one take?
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
no. The setup I have here is I record all the audio. I compose it, writing up the script, and then I create all the PowerPoint slides that would go with it, and I edit the script to say when each PowerPoint slide should come up, and then I save the PowerPoint presentation as individual files. So it's just a bunch of PNG files. And for give you an idea, that was 21 minutes and it was like 163 files, 163 slides. Because as you saw, I changed them rapidly and just kind of add and build things up. And then I will record the audio, just reading the script. And there's often times where I'll be reading and then I stumble a line and I pause a little bit and then pick it up again. And then I copy that onto my video computer where I do video editing and just put it all together and edit. I used to help teach voiceover workshops with a guy in the Denver area. And we would spend a weekend in a recording studio working on stuff with the students. So that's kind of how I got some practice at that.
That's great.
So now it's kind of my hobby. That's also the when I did turn the spectroscopy talk into YouTube videos, I did that same process. And I'm currently working on a series I call A Sneak Peek at Calculus, which would be aimed at students about to take a calculus class. And I needed to do that because I'm working on another series on special relativity. And most of special relativity can be done with high school algebra. But then it kind of, when you really want to get down to E equals MC squared, I had to use calculus. And so I thought, well, I better make a calculus trainer too. So once I get those all done, they'll show up on YouTube as well. So the only downside to doing that is a video. The nice part is I can just sit back and watch everybody else, not have to worry about advancing slides. But the downside is nobody could ask me questions during the middle of it. So
Well, that's why you have chat.
Say what?
That's why you have chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh look, there's chat. Oh, and it says, "Do you want to record, Dewey?" Yeah. But I was busy.
Sure, we were talking about you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if nobody's got anything on that, then the next thing would be Leonard's usual presentation.
Let's see if we got it on there.
I think we do. Let's see, I should be able
I
to.
don't, I can't see. I
Okay.
gotta see my notes.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me do share screen here. I think we're gonna do it.
Breakthrough.
The breakthrough. Ooh, do you see it?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Leonard, you got
I'm
your.
gonna make you guys experts in no time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no time. How many, 16 years? How many years we've been doing this?
and Dewey and I were on there for like 2 hours before you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all coming together now.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll click it.
Click it.
Well, I host meetings every month if you ever need help
That would
for
be
this
great.
other group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a
That's
Zoom
nice to
account.
have your backup.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's see if
there we go. Okay. Okay, this is kind of interesting. The Japanese, quite a little bit ago, landed on the moon, kind of in a nose down position, and
what's it called?
slim. It's called Slim. It's a great name for the Japan Smart Lander for Investigating Moon, Slim. So anyway, it's survived one more lunar night cycle, like 14 days. And it keeps popping back. So it just reawoke on April 23rd. And it has a camera on it. This picture up to the left was taken by another spacecraft that the thing deployed a little ball, and I got a great shot of the spacecraft. But the one on the right was taken by the nose down lander, and that they get the same picture every time it wakes up. But I'm hoping that we have a boulder go down that mountain or something changes. But anyway, it's amazing. They're really trying to figure out why it's coming back all the time. Wasn't supposed to. And so the electronic components are really being inspected now for future spacecraft because they survived the lunar night over and over. Anyway, next thing. Carolyn may pipe in on this one. It's always fascinating about Voyager, and they kind of lost contact with it back in November. And anyway, they were able to get this thing back online because we thought it was totally gone. But and this on the right is the team when they got the signal back from Voyager. Now they're trying to what are they trying to do? They're enable the spacecraft to begin returning science data again soon. So they're hoping to pep this thing up and keep it going. Carolyn, you got any more on that as far as the?
Well, yeah, I did do a story about it. They basically discovered that there was a crappy chip in the computer, in the flight data system computer. And from however many billion kilometers away, they were able to diagnose that. And they started taking the code that packages all the information to send home. They started taking that code and splitting it up into pieces and putting it elsewhere, and chips that weren't screwed up. So they did a test. They executed that. They had to wait like a day and a half or something to get an answer back, and it came back good. So now they're trying to rewrite and move all these bits and pieces of code around to different parts of the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like trying to fix your car from 22 billion kilometers away. It's pretty amazing.
It's why JPL does this stuff. It's amazing. What a team.
Well, do you remember when they had to fix the scan platform at Saturn? Because it had that sand
Yeah.
stuck in it, and they were basically jamming it back and forth, and they took them a day, but they got it fixed. And this was basically from Earth to Saturn. So it was pretty much they're a bunch of miracle workers over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. Totally amazing. Okay, next thing. I'll go fast here. Oh, the Chinese just launched another 3-person crew up to their space station yesterday or day before. Watched it. It was really amazing. But they're on China's central television. You can tune it in on the internet, and they have a incredible build up to the launch. And so now they got 6 Chinese up there, and I think quite a number in the International Space Station. So it's an exciting time for the crew that's been up there. Has been up there 6 months. This crew that just came up, another 3, they're going to take their place. I think the crew, let's see, I looked at that. The one that's been up there for 6 months coming back home on April 30th. So I think it's early next week. So next thing.
Okay. Whoops. Okay.
Back up.
Back up.
There we go. And we got to keep an eye on China with another lunar mission coming up. I think they're headed to May 3rd, so it's like not too far away. But this is a robotic craft, far side lander. It'll be the first spacecraft to bring back samples from the far side, and it's an elaborate orchestration of spacecraft elements that have to go into orbit around the moon and let the lander go down, and the lander has an ascent vehicle and gets the samples and shoots them up, and they transfer back to the orbiter, and then they launch it back to Earth. And it's pretty. This is what they're going to be doing with Mars, and they're really starting to talk more about bringing back a Mars sample in the near term.
And this is
I don't know what I just found a picture with Chinese people in front of the moon. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, this was a cool story. I had a lot of fun on this one. International Space Station back in March of 2021, they had a pallet that they had let loose on purpose. Had a bunch of tons of batteries that were depleted, and they got brand new batteries that they put on the space station. So they had a giant pallet of all these old batteries. So somebody in their great wisdom decided to, why don't we just let that loose? And it orbited for 3 years around the Earth as space junk. And it re-entered in March last month. And one of the batteries, next picture, survived re-entry and hit a guy's home in Naples, Florida, went through his roof and a floor of one of the 3-story house or something. But anyway, it was, at first, I was really kind of skeptical. I thought, this guy could be a scam artist or something. But anyway, he gave that battery that he has in his hands there on the left photo and gave it to NASA at Kennedy Space Center. And sure enough, they did a full-on court press with that thing. And it turned out that was one of the batteries that was up on that pallet that NASA let loose. And it came re-entering in. So anyway, there's a lot of fallout here. Legal. Who's responsible for fixing this guy's roof? So anyway, there's some lawyers already involved. It's a growing story. I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. It's a lot of interest there.
And you wrote about it for Science.
Yeah, Scientific American had a story in there, and it was a lot of legwork trying to find people that could give me the skinny on what was going to come. So anyway, next thing. The big thing coming up, Europa Orbiter, a Clipper, and they just, I think they're about ready to roll this out of Jet Propulsion Lab next month, is what I thought I heard. And it'll go to the Kennedy Space Center, and the launch window for this thing opens October of this year. It'll get to Europa, around Jupiter's moon, Europa, in what did I say? 4 years time.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay. So anyway, the big thing about this is, the main science goal is to look at Europa's icy facade there, its face, and there's a lot of potential there for life, and the astrobiology people are very excited about what Europa Clipper can send back and the kind of data. So we're going to have a really interesting moon. Other than Mars, I'm glad. I love Mars, but I'm glad to see him get this out, astrobiology out another bunch of increments. I think that's it from me. Anybody want to add anything to any of this stuff? I'm kind of
Hubble's in one gyro mode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've got 3 gyros. One of them is acting wonky, so the deal is they'll probably go into one gyro mode, keep one as a backup. They've been trying to do 2 gyro mode and or even 3, but it's just not working very well.
So are they worried about losing the whole stability of the scope?
No, I actually asked about that because I was talking to somebody on it today, and they said that they're in a high enough orbit, they're not too worried about atmospheric drag. There's not much of it anyway. Even if the sun, would blow up, it wouldn't be too bad. But they're just, obviously they're going to have to do some workarounds to make it happen. No, I don't think they're planning on losing anything.
Yeah.
But they're also being asked to take a big cut like everybody else in terms of budget.
Yeah, and there is kind of I don't know if that's still alive. Maybe I thought there was a bid out to try to build a stage to boost Hubble to.
Yeah, he mentioned that, but nothing's come of it.
Okay.
I think Elon's got a few other fish to fry right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I listened to a NASA budget briefing the other day, and my God,
Yeah, yeah,
a mess.
yeah.
It's a
I mean, the
mess.
bummer is they're willingly gonna shut down Chandra, which is really disappointing.
I don't know, there's a lot of repercussions coming here in the next
Yeah.
2 years. I mean, it just sounds like it's gonna get really bad. But anyway, I think that's it for me.
Okay. So Dewey, do you want, we didn't get an order of people, but should we have John go next? Can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, unshare your screen there.
Yeah,
there you
there
go.
we go.
Yeah, as I recall, were John's images all part of
Well, they're
Leonard's?
part of Leonard's, but I think, John, you wanted to go ahead and share them from yours, right?
Well, why don't somebody else go first? Because I'm baking some bread and I keep having to run back and forth. So it's about done. But somebody else go ahead and I'll chip in when I can.
Okay. Who wants
It
to go?
smells good in here.
I bet. Judy, do you want to go next?
But who'd you say, Barb? Did you say Judy?
Judy? Does Judy want to
Okay.
go next?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see some good pictures before I show mine.
Oh, come on.
Mine are
Uh,
iPhone shots, so
Well, yeah, my phone didn't do so good. I think I have one phone picture on the whole thing. Okay, now if I can figure this out, because I did it before,
we can do it again.
I can do it again. Well, or not.
Did you do share screen? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that gives you all of them, right?
Yeah.
So I have to do something else. See,
think
this is what I did before.
Yeah. I think you clicked on that first one. Let's see. Let's see here.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
what you
we're
did
able-
was open the slide first and then share it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
here you go.
Now, am I sharing?
Yeah, well, you're sharing
See all of them.
all
You'll
of them.
see all of them.
So
Dang,
Well, don't you highlight that first one and then?
that's what I just did. That's what I
Yeah,
just
you
did.
have to select it because a whole bunch of stuff will show, but you have to select that visual on your
There?
screen.
There you go.
There we
There
go.
you go.
There.
And
Okay,
there.
this was my favorite of the 100 or so
Wow.
pre-totality pictures because you feel like the moon is round and it's just eating that sunspot.
Judy, where were you?
We were in Salesville, Arkansas, which is
Hmm.
maybe 25 miles from Mountain Home. Up on a hill, wide open, big meadow. There was probably 20 people there. My brother came to join us, and then there was another group of partying motorhome people. And so it was quite uncrowded, no traffic, no nothing. And we stayed for the whole week, so we had no problems with traffic. But the weather was pretty much bell clear. There was a scrim of high clouds that basically didn't even show. And I had two cameras going, one with the filter 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 neutral density anyway. And the other one just naked. And so I was switching from one to the other, but I did the switch fast enough. Now my tripod has no intention of looking straight up. So let me show you this. I got a hat at Goodwill and cut a hole in it. Stuck the camera through the hole, put the whole mess over my face, lay on my back very comfortably, taking pictures. So basically they're
clever.
handheld.
Looks like the moon. I love it.
This was first phase. The prominences were so fantastic
Mhm.
that I got so involved in them. I never really took decent pictures of the corona because I was just too fascinated with the prominences. But the one at the bottom was so bright, you could see it with the naked eye. And George says, "Oh my gosh, is it coming out already?" Because it was this bright spot.
Mhm.
at the bottom, this one was so huge. That gives you, the upper quadrant was just covered with them. And then it's pixelated, but that's as far as I could blow it up.
Nice.
But you figure the Earth is about as big as the end of my pointer there. So that's what, 25 Earths long? They're huge. And the diamond ring. And more diamond ring. And so then I just put the whole thing together from, this was the naked sun for a control before it all started. First bite. And just all the way around. And then coming out, in spite of the fact that your diamond ring here is so huge, you can hardly look at it. The coverage is very, very small still. And it stayed dark for quite a while. And that's my impression of it. Obviously, it's not to scale because that's the way the sun looked to the naked eye. It certainly wasn't that big on the photograph, so I altered it a little bit, just so you could get the feeling of it. There's my setup.
Wow.
And the sunglasses, solar glasses, 2 cameras, a cell phone, everything laying on the blanket there. And then I was trying to cover things up so they didn't get too hot. And that's my brother, Kevin. It was his first complete total eclipse, and he's just boggled. And then a couple of days ago, they said on the internet that the sun was having a severe case of acne, so I just had to try to take a picture. This is probably 3 days ago. And this is George's, dark enough to actually see the stars.
Wow, that's neat.
So if we see
And-
stars, where are the planets?
Well, I guess some of those are because, Jupiter was supposed to be right there someplace,
Mhm.
and so is the comet. It's supposed to be right over here someplace, but I don't see it. It was not. If you expose for this, you don't get that, and that was my problem. You have to make your choices, and my choice was the
Anybody, honestly, don't know anybody who got the comet, although one guy was taking really close-up shots and got a couple sun-grazing comets that were
Yeah,
kind of
that sun grazer was pretty
Oh.
obvious in some of those shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
I saw
other
that.
one, was it Pons Winnicky? Was really tough to see.
Pons Brook,
Or
22
Brook,
Pons Brook.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't tried. Keep
Uh,
snow.
yeah, you need to do it because it's about ready to be gone.
It's okay.
It's a
That's
challenge.
great, Judy.
I can share next since my bread is done.
Cool.
Yay.
Share.
Next. Too bad you can't share the bread.
I would share. Anyway, so I'm gonna go through a little bit about my crazy adventure. We went to Eagle Pass, Texas, and which was interesting all by itself because it's on the border and all. Hello, is it sharing? Yeah,
There you
it is.
go.
Finally, slowness. So I wanted to start out with this. Since the Australia eclipse last year, we've been planning. It was kind of a I don't know, trial run of a live stream. I did a live stream from Australia for the what's called the Aura board. They were meeting, and Aura is the group that is between us and the National Science Foundation. And so when our new head of education public outreach came on board, he kind of like ran with it. And then the National Science Foundation got involved and wanted to help us out. So I put a link, but if you go to the National Science Foundation YouTube channel, that you can find this live stream that we did. And it's part, you know, the science of the eclipse and how the National Solar Observatory is involved, and also a couple of live stream things. Now, I didn't get to be involved with it because of some other things, but we did, we had teams that were in, we had team in Mazatlan, and come on. So this is one of our scientists, Gianna Kautzi. She was part of a setup that was in Mazatlan, and then we had another exact same thing set up in, they ended up in Carbondale, Illinois. And then we also had another group that was studying the iron part of the spectrum of the sun with this setup. That thing on the bottom of the long kind of rectangular thing is a spectrograph. So they were analyzing that. So the National Solar Observatory was very busy doing all sorts of stuff, including what we did in Eagle Pass. We went there a week early, and we ran 1,000 kids through. They were all fifth graders from the Eagle Pass School District. And we also went up to about 60 miles north in Del Rio. And we had been planning this for since 2017. We had identified Eagle Pass, Uvalde, and Del Rio, mainly because we had kind of a friend down there, somebody that we had worked with before. And so they were part of the school district, part of the university system. So we trained up some kids to help students to help us, and it was great. So somebody took a picture of me. I got to run the telescopes, and this is a little H alpha telescope that we've got. That, and the kids were so amazing. They asked so many questions, and of course, you know, when you tell them that we're going to stare at the sun today, and you don't even have to have eye protection, they get all excited. So, but about 3 or 4 days before we left, I was told that I needed to create there was an event at the Eagle Pass school district's football field. Now this is Texas football, so they all have jumbotrons. And so I had to create a show for the jumbotron. So I got no sleep the 4 days before the eclipse because I was busy doing this thing. But this is me practicing, and that actually is one of the images from the Anoia Solar Telescope. And it was a movie going on up there, and it looked just so fantastic. It was kind of fun to do that, even if it was a lot of work. But this was our scene mostly the day of the eclipse.
Well, that's pretty dramatic. Wow.
It's very dramatic. I mean, this was one of my favorite shots at first. And then, oh, look, I've got something on my lens that I didn't take care of. But this was seriously, it was moments of this and then a lot of that. But it made for dramatic stuff. And, you know, this is right before it went away. This is the scene during totality. I had to coax that guy out that's standing in the scene there. I'm like, you need to come out now and check it out right before the eclipse. I'm like, he was just, oh no, we can't see it. And I go, oh, you can see it. And stupid me, I had set the aperture for, you know, sunshine at f32, because that's what I was getting good exposure with that. And then in the excitement of the totality, I did not change it. And so this is during totality, the clouds are moving in and out. But you notice how noisy this is because I'm having to drag out all the light from a really underexposed show. But you know, at least my focus is on in that prominence that Judy was talking about. It just was so fantastic. Down to about 5 o'clock. Everybody was in and on about that. I think that's one of the coolest things about the eclipse. You know, we have a very shared experience. And that is part of it right there, that thing. When I first did this one, it was my favorite image of the sun, the second or the third contact when the sun reappears after totality, the diamond ring. But then I found this picture, and I don't know, it was the clouds made this whole experience. I do a lot of backpacking, and I tell people that, blue sky days are great, but weather days are special because something always happens that makes it phenomenal. And this was no exception. It was just goosebump central. So, you can still see the corona here and that diamond ring. And then, the corona goes away in a heartbeat and shows this little sliver of the sun. That little bit, 99% of the sun here is brighter than anything else. Just drowns out the corona. I wanted to slip into these pictures. I took this picture a couple days. Well, it was a 3-day-old moon with some earthshine. This is a composite. Can't quite. So I exposed for the bright part of the moon. I exposed for the earthshine. This is the same night, but I wanted to show you, Judy. So this was 2 weeks ago, just a couple days after the eclipse. So April 10th, 11th, 12th. So you see the Pleiades at the top of the moon. To me, this is hilarious because it's got so many satellites zipping through the scene. Jupiter sits over on the right, left there, and then straight down, if you look down here, is the comet right there. Right now, it's up here, so it's next to Jupiter. But there it is, all blown up, and you can see the moons of Jupiter pretty plainly. That's my month. Craziness.
Yeah, I can go next if you like.
Cool. But,
Yeah, John, I was gonna tell you, Mark's second album of music, we got an image from somebody who was shooting the 1979 eclipse over Montana. I think they were in the Pacific Northwest, and it was partially clouded, and it was much more dramatic than if we'd just gotten an eclipse image. But it was an eclipse, and so the album's called Double Eclipse.
Sweet.
Yeah.
One of my teachers him and a bunch of buddies went up to Wyoming or Montana for that eclipse. And it was in the wintertime in February or something.
Yeah,
and
it
the
was.
craziest thing he was talking about was they were up on a hill and seeing these big shadow bands coming across. And he tried to take a picture of it, but he said it was like a zebra. It was like snakes running across. It sounds like would have been incredible to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was our first one, so we didn't think to look for that. But do you want me to go ahead and share?
Yeah.
John, one thing I want to say here is you're welcome for the skies being as clear as they were for you down in Texas. I was telling some of the people earlier that I actually had plans to go down to Del Rio and go to Eagle Pass to watch the eclipse. And I looked at the weather forecast coming up to it and canceled my hotel reservation in Lubbock, which is where I would drive on Saturday. A friend of mine had the reservation in Del Rio. And when I canceled my hotel reservation because I wasn't going to take the trip, I said to my friend, did I just cast a magic spell to give the people in Texas a good view? And it looks like I did. There was the people in the Cotton Bowl. I had another friend who was camping there, and they said that it was cloudy and then it parted. Totality came and went, and then it clouded back up again. So
yeah, after the eclipse happened, it clouded back up. I couldn't get any more pictures. Had I wanted to do one of those cool montages, I just wouldn't have been able to put it together. What was interesting on Friday, one of the guys, I had a bunch of audiovisual guys with me with doing the test for the Jumbotron. The guy goes, this happens all the time. It'll be cloudy in the morning. And you saw how sunny it was when we did the Jumbotron. Half hour before that, it was as cloudy as could be. And he goes, it's cloudy in the morning, it clears up about noon, and then it's cloudy in the afternoon. And he said, that's the weather pattern this time of year. And I was like, ooh, then then the eclipse day will be just like that. And seriously, it was pretty close. I mean, it was still pretty cloudy during totality, but you could see some, we couldn't see the full extent of the corona. And I don't think any of my, even if I had properly exposed them, I don't think I would have gotten great pictures of the corona, but it was still incredibly beautiful. Oh my gosh. People just thought it was amazing.
Well, that guy's weather forecasting aside, I'm still going to take credit for casting the magic spell. The gauge.
I think it was all you, dude.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had, I don't know, the weather outlook for 20 days beforehand was showing crappy weather everywhere.
Yeah. The friend of mine who made the reservation in Del Rio did it last July, and he based it on statistics that you got a much better chance of having clear skies down in southern Texas than you do anywhere else along that eclipse path. And it just didn't turn out.
Well, what's funny is that the best place to watch the eclipse was up in Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont, which historically have been the most cloudy place on that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just weather.
I would appreciate it if you get that picture you have with the prominences showing during totality. If you could send me a copy of that, email me a copy of that. I would like to send that to my friend who also punted on the trip, the guy who had the reservations, and just say, see what we missed?
I'll send it to you.
Okay, thanks. All righty, Carolyn, you're up.
Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that bit.
Yeah, so we decided we had to dress for the occasion, and so we bought these t-shirts that, basically show that we have cats. We couldn't bring them along. We live in the mountains, see all the trees, and we're going to go see an eclipse. So our trip was on a ship, and we signed up for a Sky and Telescope tour. And part of the deal with them is that they'll bring along a bunch of lecturers. And so they brought along, I think it's like half a dozen or so speakers, including a couple of astronauts, to come and talk to us about various bits and pieces of astronomy. What's the latest and biggest astronomy? What was it like to fix the Hubble Space Telescope? Things like that. So we had Jeffrey Hoffman and, I'm spacing out. Mark, what was the name of the other one? Garrett Reisman, who was also did some spacewalks. And they talked. We had a couple of people from Space Telescope Institute. We had a couple from University of California, various people giving us a lot of cool talks. So that was part of what we were doing on the days when we weren't looking at the eclipse. So it was a 14-day cruise, and I went all the way down to, I forget what our first stop was, Manzanillo, I think, all the way down the coast. Then we worked our way back up. So this was what we bought to wear. This is the ship we were on. It was the Holland America Zaandam. We boarded on March 30th. Yeah, March 30th in San Diego. So here I am wearing the shirt. This is Eclipse Day. I'm just skipping over all the talks because we don't want to do that. But here I am on Eclipse Day. We're really hoping for the best. And you can see out the windows, it's pretty clear. We're headed out to a point about 25 or 30 miles off the coast of Mazatlan. This is what the sky looked like. This is not during the eclipse, or it might be during a partial phase, but this is what the sky looked like. So you see the high, thin clouds really aren't that, they're not really making much of a problem here. There was a little bit of schmutz in the air, but it was very clear otherwise. This was where our observing platform was, on the top of the ship in the front near the navigation stack. And you can see that there's a table there with a lot of glasses. They were serving free champagne. They were serving drinks that you could pay for, and then they were serving other drinks that were free. So there were waiters and waitresses kind of circulating through the crowd. Let me see if I can do the pointer here. I don't know if you can see the laser pointer. Yeah, right in here. Okay, so right in here, that's the table. Over here right there is Rick Feinberg, who used to be my boss at Sky and Telescope. There was a TV crew right around the corner, right around the front of this. They actually did a segment of Good Morning America from the ship, which I thought was pretty cool that morning. So let me turn that off. And then as things were going along, we started doing all kinds of little things like this, projection. Jeremy was the guy who did the TV segment for Good Morning America. And so he was going around interviewing everybody and taking pictures of our shirts, but this is his name. And you can see that these are kind of little partial phases of the eclipse right in here. don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so right in here, you can see his name. So people were doing that with their hats, with anything that was a screen. You could see those partially. And then someone somewhere on the ship, I never did figure out where they were doing this, shot it through their telescope and then projected it onto the back stack of the ship. And so below us, you can't see it, but the whole crew is below these two big radar domes. That whole crew is basically assembled to watch the eclipse as well. So we're getting pretty close to totality there. And here's Mark watching it. He's got his famous t-shirt on. We were basically just backed up against the edge of the stack where we were. It was pretty windy up there. And here I am looking at it. So this is, quite a ways before. This is just before totality. You can see everything is getting pretty dark in the sky. You've got this entire horizon where where you can see the sun shining, and we basically got sunset shadow going along here. I'm going to play this, I think. I want to play this. Well, this is a video. It won't play. Why won't it play? Here we go.
That's the shadow.
I'm going to give you this, just let you listen to it. This is as we're moving into totality. I wanted to tape the sound of it. Everybody's getting really excited. And you can see it's starting to get dark along here. So here we are at totality, and you can see a planet up here. You can't quite see one down here yet. So that's as much as I got, because then I put my phone down to just watch it. And it's one of the few times that I've actually been at one of these and felt like I was going to cry. It was so cool. So here's totality. There's a little video, and this is just to kind of show the two planets. There's one planet up here, another one down here, and just to show you how much the ship was rocking. But look at the daylight all around us on the horizon. So everybody got really excited, and then we all got very quiet. We were just kind of pointing out features to each other.
Oh, wow, you Wow.
So we could see that prominence naked eye immediately. This was 4 minutes and 20 seconds in totality.
We got a picture with all of us.
And there they are. So I thought that was pretty cool. I managed to catch all of that with my phone. And then here is one direct shot of it, and you really can't see the other planet down here, but we've got a planet up in here. And with naked eye, I could definitely see that prominence, the big one down at 5 o'clock. And then here we are in the was it good for you too mode afterwards, after it was all over, being very happy about what we saw. And then Mark, they were going around giving us Corona beers after the eclipse. And for George, this is where we were. So take a screenshot of that. And then I'm going to end with my favorite picture of the entire eclipse.
Very cool.
That's wonderful.
Was that the corona of this eclipse?
Yeah, somebody put it up right after
it
the
looks-
eclipse. About an hour later, I found it. It was on Twitter.
Looks like the 2017 eclipse.
Yeah.
Well, they claimed it was, but whatever. I just thought it was kind of cool.
It's very cool. I haven't seen many good pictures of this corona. That's why I asked.
I've seen some, but most people were really exposing for for the prominences, or they're trying to get features on the moon, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, just let everybody see that. George, do you want to see those? Oh, I can't do it. There you go. Again, this is where we were. So we actually got pretty well off the coast of Mexico.
Got it, yeah.
Okay.
That was the other eclipse. It looks
probably
like
was.
the Star
Probably
Trek,
was, yeah.
Star Trek communicator.
I just thought it was really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I have black cats too, so
Yes.
Alright. That's great. So is there anyone else who's wants to share? Who else do we have?
Okay.
Alright. Anyone else who wants to share? I've got just 3 that I think I can pull up here. Of where Leonard and I were with the Coal Creek Canyon K-8 school. And let me see if I can I share screen there?
No, no.
Yeah, oh, no, wait, right here. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed you posted them on Facebook fairly quickly.
Oh, actually, we didn't. I think it was our sponsors, the Coal
Oh,
Creek.
maybe so, yeah.
Yeah, they took a lot. So, you're not
First
supposed
one's
to,
there.
yeah,
The first thing.
can you see it?
Yeah.
See it? Okay, yeah, so the K-8 just finished a few months ago building these 2 pavilions where they have anchored down tables, and the kids had never been out there. They came running up, 75 of them, to have lunch on the tables. And then we did a little talk, and this is Stu Walker over to the right there, who has given us a couple of Sky Watcher talks, and he's an aerospace engineer and used to be at Lockheed Martin working on the Orion capsule that's maybe going to go to the moon with people. And Leonard brought the moon globe. You can see it there. We brought one of our telescopes. And the kids' questions were just excellent, and their comments too. And then at one point, Stu said, you know, you are probably the kids that'll go to Mars. And one kid raised his hand and said, I'm too young. That's pretty cute. And I may show more pictures. I just have 3 right here, but when we go to, let's see, wait, let me do this. When we meet again on June 1st, I'll say more about that in a minute. And these 3 on the left, with me on the right, are the 3 women who worked very hard with this Coal Creek Canyon Park and Rec. And they were able to, they purchased 100 eclipse glasses. I think they were $119 each, so that, it wasn't too expensive. And then after we were at the pavilions, all the kids came down to the soccer field, where we hope to have future star parties with them. And they just got to lay around and watch the partial eclipse from there. And it was, I'll tell you, to me, it was as much fun as being in totality. I mean, it would have been great to share totality with them, but they were just so much fun. It was really great. And after that, Leonard and I left for the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs, and we were there for 5 days, and that was really amazing too. But yeah, I'll share a few more at our next meeting. And let's see, let me see if I can go. I'll stop sharing here. Yeah, oh, so hey, the weather, it was so cold, I thought I was going to lose my fingers at the end of it. But these kids, they're mountain kids, so
Yeah.
they were great.
Running around with shorts on.
Yeah, yeah. Did you want to say a few words about that?
No, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Leonard.
I didn't know what to expect. They kept saying, yeah, you gotta come to the pavilion. And I had a vision of some kind of coliseum they put there. But these things are pretty funky, but it worked. And we were the first official
group there.
thing to happen. So we didn't know that. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Right.
great. And so as Sky Watchers, we want to go back. I think the kids are there till the end of May. And if some of you would be into going, on a school day during the day, and we can put together a presentation or help them with a project, or I'd love to do that before the end of May. And then maybe if we have to call it a day or 2 before, but do a star party at night, there. And in the summer, we could do that too. And the Park and Rec people are the ones that got the money for that pavilion and also for the soccer field when Linda Martin was part of that, and Joelle, and also the baseball field there. But the soccer field's a great place for a star party. Really, really quite fun. We've done a couple there, but there's only been like 8 of us there before. So we want to do that. And yeah, so our next meeting will be June 1st. If it doesn't snow like bad out of hell here, with Mikey Carroll, and he'll be talking about his new book. We will reschedule Robert Zubrin, but we're not sure when yet. And he's got a book too. So he said, I do not want to do Zoom. I want to do in person. I want to bring my book up and sell and sign it. And I totally understood that. So yeah, we'll get another date for him to come up. Anyone else?
Yeah, Barb, actually, so in the last week or so, about last month or so, our group over in Gilpin got a grant to offer a Gilpin Astronomy Day.
Oh, good.
And so given the way the weather sucks usually in June and July, we might plan it for early August. And Golden Gate State Park has also asked if I do a couple of star parties. So we probably ought to coordinate something. And for the Gilpin Astronomy Day, I need to get a couple of extra speakers because we'll have people, we're going to do something in the afternoon, have some speakers. I'll give a talk and then break for dinner and then go up and do stargazing at Panorama Point.
Oh, great.
So I'll keep you guys posted on that.
So what date is the astronomy day, or have you?
It looks like it's going to be August 14th.
Okay.
Because July is really messed up with the fair and there's other stuff going on. And then, and honestly, every time we plan something in July, it rains. So,
No.
so we thought, August is pretty dry. We'll try it there. Because the 2 I had to do last year, we ended up moving to August.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, we'll coordinate that,
Yeah, I'll let you know because the August 14th is tentatively scheduled. The parks people just contacted me today. And so I need to meet with them and find out when they want to do just their own separate star party. And what they usually do is advertise it around the park with posters. And so the last 2 times I ended up giving talks at the amphitheater. And then we moved up to Panorama Point when it got good and dark. And you get a really good, nice western and overhead view on it. And the mountain kind of blocks off the nebula, the Denver Nebula. So we did that, but I'd have about maybe 20 or 30 people show up for the talks, and then about 200 show up at Panorama Point.
Wow.
So it's like, and somehow the word got out in Denver, so I had people driving up from Denver.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, who also, what's that restaurant? They called and they said we could set up there. The restaurant up on the hill.
All right. I don't know. Oh, what, you mean Wonderview?
No.
I don't know.
Way over there. We went there and it rained.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's another one. Stem cider, I guess it is. It's way out South Boulder Road, toward the east. And it's actually a pretty cool location. And actually, Leonard and I and Mark Kuchenreiter and John Azatolos and Steve Barr went out there and with telescopes and everything, and then it rained. But
Yeah, of course, the minute you plan a star party, it rains.
yeah, right.
Buy a new telescope,
But
definitely.
that's a great place and
Yeah.
great food and drink and
Where was this?
it's called Stem Cider. It's got another name, but it's way out South Boulder Road.
Before you get to Louisville?
On a hill. What?
Oh, up there. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably along Continental Drive. Yeah.
Yeah, they have, weddings there and everything, the outdoor area where people are sitting around in Adirondack chairs and yeah. So, maybe we can do that. They said we could just do it anytime. We planned it, they advertised it, then it rained. But yeah.
Well, I think in the next couple of weeks, the Golden Gate State Park wants to get their things set so they can start publicizing. And then I just have to, we have to have a joint meeting with the community center people to make sure that we can coordinate and get that room to give it, to give talks. But I don't want to be giving all the talks, so I'm going to try and get some speakers to come up. So Leonard, if you want to give a talk, that'd be great.
Uh-oh.
When do you think?
No, when is
Yeah.
it?
August 14th?
I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Well, yeah, so this could be time to put together a PowerPoint.
Yeah, right. It'll take me a couple months.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
We'll do so.
So, anyone else have anything to share? You can share. Oh, is Dave Schemmel still on there? I see Susie.
Went to watch the end of the Nuggets game.
Oh, shucks. I try not to make these happen when the sports things are happening. But did he want to share his, would he come back?
So
Share partial eclipse?
we enjoyed it from the deck, and like you said, it was cold, but we, had a good view and enjoyed it from here. It's
good.
not the same though, unless you do 100%. It's like not the same.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and he does have a picture on his Facebook page if people want to see it.
took pictures, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Barbara, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Tell us what goes on at that conference. Maybe tell us the different things that happens each day. That you said after the eclipse, you went down to Colorado Springs. What happens at that type of conference?
Well, I'll say a few words and I'll let Leonard say too. This is called the Space Symposium, and it's happened every year for decades, and it is more military oriented. Like there are a lot of, because Colorado Springs has the Space Force and a lot of those speakers, but also the heads of all the NASA, all the space agencies, and Leonard interviewed the head of the European Space Agency, and also Peter Beck, who, if you know about Rocket Lab in New Zealand, he's the head of that. And we met with, in the bar, with a number of Leonard's editors, space.com and Space News, and that went really well. That was really good. They want more stories from him. But the various sessions, they have some on space science now, planetary science, and a lot of these military people. And there are about 10,000 people there. And yeah, it's just, for us, it's just great. We get to see a lot of our space buddies. 11,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to say a few words?
It's a kind of a who's who of all kinds of companies that presidents of companies walking around in there. And one of the favorite times we had was talking to Dan Golden. Dan Golden ran NASA for 10 years, and I spent a lot of time with that guy. And we're both older, and we had a kind of a fun time talking about what he remembered about media bothering him all the time. But anyway, it was fun. But it's a pretty good meeting. But it's 11,000 people. It's hand-to-hand combat. It's there are multiple meetings going off at the same time. It's the most exercise I can possibly get. There's a bridge involved. You got to run over to the bridge.
Well, it's at the Broadmoor.
At the Broadmoor Hotel.
Well,
So
at the convention center.
Man, it's a greght place, but it's not. It would be nice to spend how many? $300 a night there, to stay there.
Yeah,
Can't afford it, but
we stayed like 25
Holiday Inn.
minutes
But
away.
but we liked their muffins.
Yeah. No, but
Hey, Barbara, do they still give away the little bees when you go to the bar?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the bee.
Oh yeah, it's great. We had a lot of fun. It was a lot of, but it's intense. It's too much. It's bigger every year,
And the Broadmoor has built on these convention centers that are, buildings that are huge, and the exhibits are, really kind of like the Disneyland of space,
Yeah.
Lockheed Martin and Steve Langmuir gave a talk to us about Dream Chaser not too long ago, and Sierra Space has a big exhibit there, which is where he works.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just really a fun thing. I mean, we had two people we had hoped to meet there, which there's so many people that we didn't get together with them. But and then Lockheed Martin had a huge party with a band and way too many people and
Smoke machines.
Smoke machines into the yeah. But it's really a great conference to go to, and a lot of different choices of sessions and a lot of the media people. So that's fun for us too to see them, because you don't really consider them competition, do you?
Everybody's got competition.
The writers,
Writers.
space writers.
What are you talking about?
Even Carolyn too.
Oh, yeah, I'm so rough on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. It was
All right, that's
great.
enough of that.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, it's very expensive. So as media, I think they charge, what is it, 4,000 to go to it?
Some
And-
insane
But
number.
media gets in free.
Yeah.
So that's why we're there.
Yeah.
And then space.com paid for our hotel and gas and stuff. So that's how we were able
I
to
mean,
go.
they didn't want to spring for the Broadmoor?
No, it's booked up like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, that's
in
true.
advance.
Yeah, see, we used to go
Yeah.
down there every January when Mark was a student. The music teachers conference meets in January. And we go
Yeah.
down there. And I remember one time we went and we stayed and I thought 150 a night was horrible.
Yeah, right.
Sounds like it's a little bit more now.
Yeah, it's
probably
out of
like
control.
600, 700 a night. for
Yeah,
the small rooms.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyone else have anything else they want?
Yeah, let me just mention that
Yeah.
Maya and I very much enjoyed Totality in 2017 from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So we didn't try to go to this one, but of course, the weekend prior to the Monday of the eclipse, we froze to death because it's the weekend that Excel chose to turn off the power to tens of thousands of people around here. And so we vacated to spend Sunday night in Longmont. And we took our eclipse glasses with us and we had lunch at Lucille's in Longmont and watched the partial phase of the eclipse. And we gave a eclipse glass to our waitress who served us. So we saw that, but we well remember 2017, which was spectacular, and enjoyed seeing the pictures you guys showed tonight.
That's great, really. Yeah, Jackson Hole must have been amazing being there. Yeah. Beautiful place. All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing that too. Yeah, and do you want to say anything about Excel? Shutting off your power,
Bad situation that they did. I mean, it's because of what happened in the fire a couple of years ago. It's good that they were proactive in trying to keep from doing that again, but they botched it in many ways. It was not done well, and the governor and Public Utilities Commission and so on are holding hearings.
Because of the wind.
Yeah, Excel just screwed up in trying to do the right thing because of the winds were like 100-mile-per-hour in Wonderview and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clark, actually, we're on United Power and they just adjusted some settings on their lines, but they still ended up having a few people in Rollinsville lose because trees took the lines down. But we were following it because our cat sitter was reporting to us every day about it.
Yeah.
But then I was seeing some news stories about all the complaining about Excel's handling of this. And Kyle Clark said something about, does anybody have a good experience with their power company? And by the end of the show, he has the comments and somebody said United Power was great.
Yeah,
They handled it.
Yeah, I think we might have had one blip here and there was only one small group of people that lost power and they got it back within a day, but that was not because of preemptive. It was just because trees took down lines and they were able to get out and get those fixed reasonably quickly. It was really windy, so they had to be pretty careful about it.
yeah.
Placed all
Well,
along.
the wind took down trees for Excel too, so I think more people probably were out of power from Excel because of real legitimate power outages.
Yeah, yeah.
Trees and all, but there were tens of thousands of us. I mean, they said they're gonna cut the power at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and they cut the power at 2:15. And we were preparing for 3 o'clock. They just screwed up the messaging all the time.
Yeah, the commentary I saw that people that have oxygen and things like that were in real bad shape.
Yeah,
They're doing it in Texas and California, the preemptive shutdowns. So I think, well, we're okay. You're going to have to buy a generator or something to keep you up if they're going to do that. Because
Yeah,
there's,
that's what we depend on.
it's going
you
to
have
be,
a generator?
Yeah,
No, that's good.
we have a whole house generator.
That's good.
your blender will keep running. You can be the margarita house.
Yeah.
Hey, first things first,
Really. Yeah. Yeah, United Power up the canyon here, I guess from down by the railroad tracks or railroad trestle, put in new lines. They're not down our road, but I remember driving down there and I think I even put something on Coal Creek Speaks about how ugly they were. And then I found out, well, they can withstand they don't start fires. So then I said, oh, very
Yeah,
happy.
they've been pretty proactive about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if those are, like Clark and Wyatt, your area, did Excel put any new lines in? They're like,
No, I don't think so. There
Yeah.
are some people on Lazy Z Road who actually have United Power. I mean, we've got a mixture up here, but
Yeah.
people with Excel.
Well, and I think United Power depends on Excel for some parts of those lines.
Well, some of it, but they also import power from, they have their own solar garden as well.
That's good.
Yeah, they rebuy from different sources, and I don't know. They just told us they're going to be replacing all the lines as they can. They'd like to bury as many as they can, but our road, it's pretty difficult up here. There's, great stretches of area where it's nothing but granite. It's a little hard to bury there.
Yeah. Yeah, buried lines would solve the problem.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyone else have any comments or anything they want to share?
Enjoyed seeing the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Great.
Yeah.
And David Elmore has a video too of he was in Mazatlan with Kate. I'm trying to think. John knows
Mhm.
that stands for, I'm sure. Citizens. Well, anyway, they had 32 telescopes along the line of eclipse and or of totality. And he's in New Mexico, but he was going to try to get on tonight, but at our next meeting, we'll have him share his video.
He actually took one of the first pictures of the eclipse. He was supposed to share it because it was 20 minutes before the rest of us got
Mhm.
totality. So they wanted to kind of plan for that. It stands, Citizen Kate. Kate stands for Continental America Telescopic Experiment.
Okay.
And I'm part of the team that helps with that, I do the website and some other stuff for communications. It looks like we got at least something from almost all the sites.
Great.
Even though there was a lot of weather, only 2 sites were totally clouded, rained out.
Mm. Yeah, John, it cleared up along the coast in Mazatlan pretty well. The clouds moved all towards inland, so some of the inland installations didn't have the best view.
Yeah, a bunch of people that I know were in Torian,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and it was pretty cloudy there
yeah.
in that city.
We watched it on the Weather Channel, the whole thing, and it was really interesting because they just as it happened, you know, they each took their turn going up, and they'd get so excited or they get so disappointed, and really fun to see the progression of it went all the way to Maine. But
Oh,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as soon as totality is over, everybody's really busy, you know, uploading their first pictures, and you could tell, like Facebook, where I was following on Facebook, pictures were just popping up like several times a minute.
mhm.
You'd refresh and there'd be like 5 new pictures or something. So everybody was really getting involved.
yeah, it was fun to see across the country, like
Susie, do you know if the Weather Channel recorded that? Like, can you go on YouTube or something and see that?
somewhere. Yeah, I'm sure it is, because I mean, it was such good coverage, but
Yeah, okay,
we'll Google it.
okay.
I watched part of it later from someplace, so it was not live. So it's got to be recorded somewhere.
Okay.
Watch the NSF NSO one.
Okay. Yeah, oh, you had, we have the links in, was that in the article, I think, in the Mountain?
It was in the
Yeah.
yeah, it was in the article for the
Yeah.
mountains.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll go see that.
But I can send it to y'all if you want.
Yeah,
Where do we find this article?
Well, it was in the Mountain Messenger, but you can search on YouTube Eclipse live stream from the NSF. So if you just NSF live stream, you would find it for the eclipse.
Well, I'm going away. Goodbye.
Right.
okay, I
Me
just
too.
wanted to say one thing. If you'd like the sky calendar, I don't know how many of you are into that, the one we usually hand out at the meetings. On the website, I can send you that on the website for Abrams Planetarium. May is free, so otherwise, you know, I have a subscription for $12 a year, and then I make copies to hand out. But if you want, we can send out the link, you know, and then they always let the May one people print it, but otherwise you have to subscribe. Does anyone want us to send you that link? Okay. Okay, we'll do that.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Supper time. Bye.
Yeah,
Yep.
thanks, Dewey.
Good job.
All right. It
Yeah,
worked.
glad it worked out. Yeah, bye, Clark and I. Everybody.
All righty. I think that's a wrap, as they say.
I think that's a wrap. Yeah, any other chats? What Ted Klein posted,
So
Yeah.
Dewey, you had such a wonderful presentation. Is it going to get up to your YouTube now that I know where that is?
I did not intend to post that one.
Okay.
on
And
the-
you were talking about this other one, even going through Einstein's
Oh.
special relativity.
Special relativity, yeah. The spectroscopy series that's on there now is a five-part series,
I see that.
and that's based on the talk I gave at SkyWatchers back in 2017. The special relativity series keeps growing. I keep wanting to add more stuff to it. And so now it's turned into like 6 parts with 4 appendix videos. And then there's there's a part where it gets to calculus, and you really need to, you know, if you don't know calculus, you need to watch the calculus video. So that stuff is all well underway in construction. But
Well, I like what I saw there. So I work here at this observatory as a volunteer, and
Yeah.
I'd like to memorize what you had so I can spit it out to all these young kids who are trying to understand where stars come and go. I liked your simple presentation.
Okay.
I don't think I care about slides so much, but if I can spill it to them to show them that the professionals have kind of figured the thing out,
Right.
and there are certain paths, and and how they move through it. Certainly, I've found slides that have essentially a roadmap of evolution, so that's possible too.
Yeah, I did, I threw that together in just the last couple of days, so I didn't take time to find or make graphics that would illustrate some of that stuff because
No, but you were reinforcing what you said. I liked it.
there's lots of good stuff out there that I didn't get a chance to put in there.
You'd have to have more than 128 slides then. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll do what I can with what you got, and I may come after you. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. You got my email address now. So yeah, if you email, we can figure something out to get you either the script or the presentation or heck, a copy of the video.
Yeah, and I guess I got your email through the YouTube, so I think we're cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
through the chat. So
So do you have a website that has some of this stuff on it, did you say?
I don't have a website. What I have is a YouTube channel. And the name of the channel is Do Science. And since my name is Dewey, it's DEW Science. And actually, if you look in the chat, Ted actually put that link up there. He asked me about it. Oh, I don't know if that's public chat. That might have been just one-on-one. But anyway, you can go to YouTube and look for the Do Science channel.
And so I just posted again in chat.
Okay. Okay, good. And so, that's where you can see the spectroscopy series. And eventually calculus and special relativity. And after that, I want to do one on space-time. And after that, I want to do one on general relativity. So I'll be busy for the next 10 years.
We thank you for your efforts. Sounds good.
It's a
Thanks
fun
for the show. This was wonderful.
All right, Ted. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. When I hit end, everybody's out. You're muted, Barb.
Playing music in the background here. Yeah, thanks so much, Dewey.
All righty. George, you're the only one left here. I'm going to hit end here and we'll wrap this up. Bye.